Thank you for joining us for the 2-minute drills from behind the camera. This is Aram Talegian, the San Gabriel Valley Newspaper Group's football writer, joined by, on the left, Fred J. Robledo, the San Gabriel Valley Tribune Prep Sports editor, and on the right, Stevie R. Steve Ramirez, the Pasadena Star-News Prep Sports editor. We have a nice crossover game. That's why these guys are sitting next to each other here. San Dimas, 10-1, hosting San Marino, 10-1, in the second round of the Mid-Valley Division playoffs. Guys, I cannot remember a time where there's been two 10-1 teams playing each other in the playoffs, and neither one of these teams is considered the favorite or the second choice in the division.
I agree with you. I think they are clearly the number 4 and 5 teams behind.
And they're both 10-1.
And Monrovia. Both 10-1, and I think Aram did a story today on San Dimas talking to Zernico where he said it is a nice little story because not only are they both 10-1, they each lost a defending champion, Monrovia. You have that game you can compare against. I think they're very similar, probably in styles. They both love to run the ball. They both are playing really good defense. It's a pick'em game on Friday, Steve. It really is. I mean, these are two great teams. You can argue, obviously, that San Marino gave Monrovia a much tougher game than San Dimas did. But I like San Dimas' history against Monrovia. They've shown they may not get it done every time, but they know how to get it done against those type of teams.
From a score point of view, the San Marino-Monrovia game was a little bit tighter. Monrovia maybe controlled that game a little bit more than the score would indicate. But you're right. But both of these teams are pretty equal. They both love it. In a perfect world, they both love to run the ball. So I wouldn't get there too late because this game might be pretty quick without a lot of passing.
Yeah, good advice, Stevie. Last year's game, these two teams actually met in the first round at Citrus College. All three of us, I believe, were there. San Dimas won 31-21. But Fred, if you recall, San Marino was in that game into the second half, and then I think San Dimas pulled away from them in the second half. But it's hard for me to think that San Marino isn't a completely different team, even though a lot of the key personnel is the same. These guys seem a year older, a year better, and Mike Hobby, I've heard rave reviews from opposing coaches about the schemes they're running and how they're doing it. This San Marino team looks to be a lot more formidable this year.
But I think that the San Dimas team is a lot more formidable too. I mean, this is a team. Now really look at San Dimas. We all knew they had a lot of players coming back on defense, which for Coach Zernico is key because they've always struggled giving up a lot of points. They've had to beat teams 50-35 in the past. Their offense is still rolling. Their defense is playing a lot better. And you can look at that Bonita win early in the year. Now after they lost to Monrovia, you talk about a team that gets it going. You know, in the Valley Vista League, team like Northview, that they still rolled over in the final week. They won that game going away doing whatever they want. Northview was in a game with Sierra Canyon last week, playing them a lot tougher than they get against San Dimas. So when you start talking about these final 4 teams, there's the top 3 and then there's 4 and 5. I really think San Marino, San Dimas are a scary game for any of those teams. Just looking at that Northview game.
And if you look what San Marino has done in going 10-1, they're because of the league they're in, it's basically them and Monrovia, but they've killed these teams. I mean, they I think
not South Omani, but
not South Omani, but they beat Temple City 58-0. They their margin of victory is probably 40 points in most of their games outside of obviously the loss to Monrovia and obviously the victory over South Omani, which they had to come back from.
I mean, I just think it's going to be a great Final Four where the winner of the San Marino San Dimas, if they're going to go out and play Paraclete, they probably will. Paraclete's playing Almani. They should be able to do what they want with Almani, but you get the winner of this game against Paraclete. I think it's a good game. I wouldn't call it a pick-em, but it's a good game. Just like Monrovia Sierra Canyon is a good game. I think you've got a legitimate Final Four, and this is where it should be right now. These are 4 and 5 should be playing right now. They've got it set up right. Like I said in the very beginning, this was probably the easiest bracket I've ever had to fill out since doing brackets. Up until the point you get to the Final Four. When you get to that Final Four, I think it's almost, and I wouldn't call it a pick-em between those 4, but I think between the top 3 it's a pick-em, and I think that whoever wins this game has a chance to upset some teams, a very good chance. I'm taking San Dimas in this game. I like them at home. I do think that they're very evenly matched. I just think San Dimas toward the end of the year, it was really hard to get a real good fix on them because they're blowing out everyone in the Valley Vista League. But I loved what they did to Northview at the end of the year. Northview that had everything to gain. And when I look at, like I said, Northview Sierra Canyon, I just have a feeling more about San Dimas than I do against San Marino.
Yeah, as well as San Marino has played for most of with the loss to Monrovia. I'd like to pick them, but I think San Dimas. It seems like they just might have a little bit more.
And they have an experience factor in their playoffs. I mean, Phil Zernico, they've knocked on this door so many times in the past few years, and they've done well in the playoffs. Last year they went out in the semifinals. This year I think they get back.
Yeah, I saw San Dimas play against Northview, and for a Zernico offense, he never really went to page 2 of the playbook. He kept it very vanilla, and it still didn't matter. They were able to win being very vanilla. There wasn't all that trickeration that he does out of the wing Z, and it's hard to follow the ball. It was a real basic game plan, and their defense was playing outstanding football, and they really put the clamps on Northview. And I go back to that Bonita game because I sit here and say San Marino, Bonita, you could kind of make the case that Bonita, if you're able to beat Bonita and you're able to kind of do some good things against them like San Dimas did, then why can't you do it against San Marino? To me, they're kind of similar, but Bonita's better, more talented, bigger, whatnot. However, I'm picking San Marino in this game because I think San Marino's defense is no joke.
This is going to get me back in the pigskin pick'em against Aaron. Picking that big boy.
Yeah, or it could
you just gave me one back.
Or it could end things. I really do believe that San Dimas has the chance to put. I mean, San Marino has the chance to put the clamps on San Dimas's offense in this game, and if they do, I think that eventually Wofford or Wood are going to make a big play in the San Marino offense, and they're going to be able to win this game. Like Stevie said, 2-hour game here. I'll be there on Friday night. You don't want to blink because the clock's going to be running the whole game. This is going to be a really good physical battle
up there at San Dimas. I'm taking the Titans. You both have the Saints. Should be great. I feel so much better about it knowing now that Aram took San Dimas. So this is almost a guaranteed. This is almost a guaranteed San Dimas win.
Jeez. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Fred. All right. So there you have it at San Dimas Friday night battle of 10-1 teams in the second round of the Mid Valley Division playoff.
See, baby.
Get out there.